And if you look at space and the energy of consciousness, I think the Global Energy Parliament's worldview becomes very important and essential at this moment. I think all of us know the science studies matter and energy in its interplay, and the philosophy studies mind and the conscience interactions. But space reminds us that they are not separate. I think when astronauts, for most of them who go to space, they always speak about an overview effect, a profound shift in awareness when viewing Earth from orbit. It grips most of them a sense of unity, connectedness, responsibility. Many astronauts say they are not able to see those borders that is separating us. It aligns with the principle of the I theory. The observer and the observed are becoming part of the continuum of energy. Transforming the inner field transforms the outer field, also the view of the outer world. In a way, the space exploration is also an inner exploration for most of us.
Today, we will continue our important work to better understand how the chemistry outside and inside is changing the world. And especially today, we will focus on solutions.
And this is leaving a lot of people around the world feeling powerless. But what we know is that people do want change. So in large-scale studies at either national or international levels, we see there's this perception gap where at the moment, or a few years ago, the majority of Americans, for instance, in the US supported climate policies. But when you ask them about others' opinions, they predicted that only, the minority of people would support them.
I'm an expert in this area, and I have some slides to show the effect of what small amounts of pesticides do to our bodies. Now, this slide shows what happens after a lifetime of the small amounts of a pesticide called Roundup, one of the most common, at levels that most people are exposed to. And this was the first credible, independent, peer-reviewed study that looked at a formulated pesticide.
This bill addresses the interconnected threats posed by toxic chemicals, genetically modified organisms, weather climate modification, and geoengineering. These factors threaten both human inner and environmental outer health. To address these threats, this bill proposes holistic, evidence-based solutions backed by credible scientific research and international guidelines, considering that eliminating exposure improves public health and recovery of ecosystems. This bill calls on governments to act, prohibit the use of harmful chemicals, GMOs, and weather climate modifications and geoengineering.
Okay, thank you very much, Lady Carla, for this impressive bill, because I think it's very important to come into this dialogue between different perspectives.
So the title of my talk is Making Decisions When Emotions Are High, Policy Consequences and Solution Directions. My understanding is that this Global Energy Parliament is very much focused on solutions to the tensions that we find in the world. And while I am not an expert in I theory and the interaction between inner and outer energy or heat or any of that stuff as an economist, I am a very fierce student of human nature and of society at large. And so I've studied particularly recently the decision-making types that we see when people are in particular kinds of emotional states, and how those decisions made in particular states can be suboptimal for the human condition.
The emotional status of people affect, of course, when we select parties into power. Out of the two groups which you mentioned, allied as well as non-allied groups, which one do it more impressively under fear or some kind of emotional stress?
This bill established a measure to promote the quality and the quantity of the 5 elements through scientific and technological regulation. In this bill, I will talk about purity, and purity is defined as a natural element. And for example, for pure gross water, which is water without adding any chemicals, just like chlorine or pesticide or something like that. And in high theory, we already explained that the fire is a central element. It is the element which allows any phase change from one element to another one. Life is a combination of the 5 elements, and Earth requires balance in pure element. And current technology are compromising the purity as well as the balance of the 5 elements. And this bill is crucial to protect life as well as human and planet's well-being.
And I saw that over the past decade, and particularly in the last 5 years, the number of individuals suffering from long-term sequelae of infectious diseases and severe inflammatory conditions has risen dramatically. I'm proposing an international act for monitoring infectious diseases and their lasting effects. We have the so-called sickness behavior syndrome, which is an emotional phenotype. And you can find this using the same signaling that chronic inflammation does. Nations are encouraged to incorporate these monitoring systems into their nation health and resilience development plans, aligning with the goals of increasing the general mean level of health, optimizing recovery outcomes, and reinforcing collective readiness for future crises.
So any other honorable member, you have any clarifications or amendments? Otherwise, we can put the bill to vote.
My bill signifies the importance of water and the need for a global action plan for preserving the water resources of the earth. Due to increased human activity and the effects of climate change, freshwater supplies are under threat. Human-caused disasters are all worsen climate change and eventually the freshwater supply. As Swamiji always points out, the outer world is an extension of the inner. All the biological systems need an environmental balance in which the external heat and the internal heat should be sustainable for each other. If the external heat exceeds certain limit of sustainability, it will certainly jeopardize the water management of the earth.
I would like to present a bill on education. Education with a focus on child development. Shift from content-heavy to child-centered curriculum. Reduce syllabus overload. Focus on conceptual understanding rather than rote learning. Integrate play-based learning at early childhood and primary levels. Strengthen early childhood care and education. Universal access to quality preschool education, ages 3 to 6. Focus on social and emotional learning. Introduce structured programs for emotional regulation, empathy and cooperation, and conflict resolution. Create safe, inclusive, and stress-free classrooms. Empower and train teachers.
The Global Energy Parliament acknowledges that the ultimate source of planetary sustainability and peace is the fundamental energy and well-being of the human consciousness and collective society. The combination and interaction of the inner heat, that is individual well-being, and the outer heat, the social friction, directly determine the global emotional climate. So now, therefore, the Global Energy Parliament creates the Human Climate Act to protect people's emotional well-being, reduce the energy wasted by social conflict, and build a peaceful emotional climate.
So the bill is passed. So after a member makes a submission, either that member or another member needs to make a motion outlining action to be taken.
My topic we are discussing is environmental effects of radiation on human cells and genes.
I very much would like to support this.
Well, in my fieldwork here in Lesotho, I observe a noticeable rise in emotional distress linked to environmental decline.
It will lead us back to being as real human beings, not main characters, but good characters. And this is what we young people desperately need to survive in this world, in this generation.
Of course, we need heat for our livelihood, and it should be a proper balanced one.
It's a resolution on workplace emotions, psychosocial health, and human resources.
We need to protect people from conditions that are harmful, being from a psychological side, being from a harmful toxical side.
Current measurement frameworks insufficiently integrate levels of causal, which is I particle, subtle, which is quantum and atomic level, and gross from the molecular level upwards. These planes, 3 planes of matter and energy.
If you want peace and happiness, no other way. Remove all these walls. First, make it transparent, then sublimate. That self-sublimation lead to ultimate goal. Definitely, you can. Each and every individual can able to reach that. This is called real yoga. Yoga means external science and internal science. There is no separate entity. External world and internal world. There is no separate entity. Universe is my extension. Thank you, all of them.
We will meet in the next session in 2026. Thank you all.